Hi. So today I wanted to talk about the 1 year wellness visit and my experience with it and some feelings that came up because of that experience. So let me backtrack a little bit. In case you haven't had your first year visit yet, it's pretty much like any other wellness visit. They weigh her, they measure them, they check their bodies to make sure everything is fine. They ask you about how they're sleeping, how they're eating, pretty much like the general questions and little tests that they do in every visit so far. The only difference with this one was that they do a finger prick, and they do the finger prick to test for the hemoglobin levels and for lead. So when they told me they were gonna do that, and I kind of knew that this might be coming, and I know that not all the doctors do it, some do, some don't. So I didn't know exactly if it was gonna happen for us or not, but it did. And when they told us that it was coming, I was like, oh my God, I wonder how this is gonna go. It's the first time that she's gonna get her finger pricked. I don't remember if when she was a newborn, my birth story is a little traumatizing, and so there are some things that I don't remember. But I think they did draw blood from her, but I don't think it was from her finger. It might have been from her foot. Um, but anyways, that's another story for another time. But so whatever. Going back to the wellness visit, when they told me that that was going to happen, I was like, okay, this is kind of like the first time that this is happening for her, and how is this going to go? She is now at 1 year old, more aware of what's going on, and so I was a little anxious about it. So they come and they prick the finger, and instantly she started crying. And but it's that part is not that bad. What's really bad is that they are, once they have pricked her and she is crying, you cannot really like soothe her the best, because they are trying to get the blood that's coming out of her finger to put her in a little tube so that they can test that blood. And that part just takes a little bit longer than I would like. And so that was the part that was tough, because she was moving a lot. My husband was holding her, I was holding her hand, but still, with two adults, three counting the nurse, it took some time. And I just don't like it when she cries. Of course, nobody does. And so it must have been less than 5 minutes, and it felt like an hour and a half. So that part was tough, but we got through it. It really, really wasn't that bad. Um, so then they're like, okay, the results are quick. Wait 5 minutes, and we'll have the results. And okay, so we're like, okay, let's just wait. We are cleaning her because she was bleeding a lot, and she wouldn't let us clean her. But whatever. The time passed. They came back with the results, and then they're like, okay, the lead came back good. There's no presence of lead, but the hemoglobin is a little low. So the nurse came to tell us this. So the doctor wants to come in and speak to you. And then instantly, when they told me that, I was like, oh, frick. It took me back to my hospital again, like being at the hospital and getting bad news. And, you never want to hear anything bad, you don't want any tests to go wrong or not to have like the best results. So when they told me that, I'm like waiting for the doctor. I'm okay with my husband, with my baby, waiting for the doctor to come to speak to us. And then she came, and then pretty much she told us that our baby has 11.4 for the hemoglobin level, and it's supposed to be 11.5. So she said, I am not worried about it at all. Do not worry about it. Just make sure that she's eating, meat and beef and spinach. And she gave me a bunch of stuff that my baby already eats. Um, she's like, really don't worry. I mean, this happens. Pretty much all babies are anemic, whatever. She gave me like this whole speech about it. And I was like, okay, she's not worried about it. I'm not worried about it, whatever. Um, she said, come back in 3 months for the 15-month wellness visit, and everything's okay. And I was like, okay. So we leave, and then on the way home, I I'm just like sitting in the back seat with my daughter because that's usually how it goes. My husband is driving, I'm in the back seat, she's in her car seat, and I'm next to her. And I just started crying. And this is kind of like mostly what I wanted to talk about because I think that many times we as moms blame ourselves when something goes wrong, even when nothing is really wrong. Like in this example, for example, what happened with my daughter, nothing was really wrong. The doctor told me, yes, it's a little low, but nothing concerning. Like, don't worry about anything. It's fine. It's actually kind of normal. This happens a lot, you know. Um, but you just get in your head and you're like, I could have fed her better. I maybe could have given her more beef, or, you start thinking about a million things that you could have done differently, and maybe that would have made a difference. And then you start to blame yourself and just feel like a failure. Like I felt for about like an hour or something. I felt like a failure. I'm like, I failed her. I started solids too late because I did. I think I did. Looking back now, I was very afraid of her choking. This is my first baby, and I had like that fear that something could happen to her choking while she eats. And so I think I may have introduced solids a little bit too late. She was doing purees a lot, or whatever. So I was like, oh my God, it's my fault, blah, 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 blah. My husband notices I'm crying, and he's like, what's wrong? Why are you crying? And then I'm telling him, like, I just feel like a bad mom. And, he was, supportive and stuff. He's like, look at our baby. She's healthy. She's fine. Like, don't worry about it. But of course, when you're in a little funk, you're in a little funk. And I was in a little funk. And I felt sad about it for about like an hour. So like we drove home. Thankfully, well, not thankfully. Well, I mean, I had to come home and work. I work from home, and so that kind of distracted me, and that kind of made me reset, right? And I was like, why am I crying? Why am I blaming myself? I am so blessed. My baby is okay. The doctor told me there's nothing to worry about. She's fine. There's no lead. She stopped bleeding. We got through it, but I just thought it was so interesting how we sometimes can make things worse for ourselves, and we are so quick to blame ourselves and to feel like failures when we shouldn't and when we're not. When something goes wrong, if your first reaction is like, oh my God, I'm doing this wrong, I'm not cut out to be a mother, I'm so overwhelmed, why does this happen to me? It's just, okay, take a step back, reset, and realize what you're doing. Because sometimes for example, I wasn't helping myself in the situation, and I I just wanted to share that so that people could realize or like relate to what I went through, and I just wanted to share this with moms out there, so that if you go through those moments, you are not alone. Help yourself so that you get out of them. Um, Talk to your husband, your friends, whoever it is, but just make sure that when something goes wrong, which in this case I'm so blessed again that really nothing was wrong, but if something does go wrong, like if your kid falls and she starts bleeding, and then or something even worse, God forbid, you know it's not your fault. Accidents happen, but we are so quick to blame ourselves, and we put so much pressure to be perfect. And and I just feel like it makes everything harder when being a mom already is hard, so that mom pressure, I think, is so good to identify, to know that it's there, to know that I think it's good also to share when you're having a bad moment. I told my friends, I told my sister about it. I told them that I cried, that I felt like a failure. I think it's good to share that because you're processing that with your friends. It's not good to keep it inside, to like be wondering, like, oh my God, am I really a failure? Am I sucking as a mom? Share your thoughts, share your fears, not only about being a mom, actually, this is good advice for life in general, but especially when it comes to being a parent where everything is so new, and when every experience is so, it comes with so much emotion because it's your baby. It's your baby, it's yours. You're the person responsible for this human being, and you love them so much. So of course you never want anything wrong to happen to them. And when something goes kind of wrong or wrong for real, then we just don't help ourselves sometimes when, we don't realize that if we need help, we should be asking for it or talk about our feelings. If you feel like you're having, and I guess this goes into like another conversation as well, but just to summarize what I was trying to say, because I think I went all over the place there for a bit, but just to summarize what I was trying to say, um, you are not alone if you feel like you're a failure sometimes as a mom. And many times, if you feel like you are, um, you're not. Okay, because thankfully, I got my mindset right and I got myself out of that funk and I realized, no, I didn't do anything wrong. There's nothing wrong with my baby, thankfully, um, and everything is good. And I was able to get myself out of that funk, like I said. So if you need help getting out of a thought pattern that is not helping or working, um, ask for help. Talk to anyone. Message me if you need to, or talk to your husband, to your friends, to anybody. Moms, the good thing about moms that I realize now that I'm a mom too is that we're so quick to try and help each other. And granted, of course, there not everyone is like this, but I've noticed what a beautiful community it is to be part of the mom community. It really is. And so look for help, ask for help if you need it. And again, if you feel the mom pressure, if you feel the moments where you feel very overwhelmed, you are not alone and you're doing a great job. I guarantee it. And that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about today. Thank you for watching.